grade 9, 10 work experience at a radio station. And I was like, oh, that sounds amazing, you know?
Welcome to A Cup of Tea with Bree, where I get to know some of the country's most amazing parents, incredible business people, and inspiring characters. Today's guest is a dad. He's also a marriage celebrant, and he is a bit of a radio chatterbox.
I don't know if I can live up to that hype.
Yeah. He's from the well-known morning show on Hit 103.1, Townsville's best radio station, of course. And today I get the pleasure of interviewing him. So please welcome Cliffo. How are you today?
I am fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. It's kind of surreal. I'm so used to being on your side of the table and asking the questions, but it's nice. I feel relaxed. I don't know what's coming my way.
It's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask you all sorts of things.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
And my face is out there too, which is something we're getting more used to now with the monster that is social media.
Yeah, we used to just be,
faces for radio.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I still have. Like, people see my face now, but it's still a face for radio. So not disappointing anyone there.
Well, we did put you in PakMag. You've had a column with us for how many years now?
Probably since my daughter's been born, and she recently turned 4, so about 4 years.
Yeah, and it's always hilarious. Your columns are always great to read.
The thing with children is they are, and this is not only great for the column, but it's great for the radio show. They are a constant source of content, live content.
I know.
They give to you on literally a child does something on a daily basis that can make a great radio break, a great video, a great PakMag column.
Yep.
So it's been, in that respect, it's been wonderful for my career having a family. So thanks.
Yeah.
Matilda.
Matilda, you've been wonderful.
You've been wonderful for Daddy's job, because it does give you, like I say, an endless source of content, things to discuss.
Yeah. And what about more little baby Cliffos?
More little baby Cliffos are on the cards. It's a tough thing for us to even talk about. When my daughter was born, it was very tough on my wife. She had to have multiple blood transfusions and a very long hospital stay. Yeah, it was quite traumatic on her. Touch wood, won't be a repeat, but we do want more children. But it was one of those things that we had to get, I guess, a bit more comfortable with the idea after the scary experience for our first one. Luckily, and it's something I've been open about. It's tough to talk about. It really knocked us around a bit.
It's hard to watch, I think, for a partner as well. Your wife go through that,
and kind of. We all, I felt a bit helpless. I had younger nieces and nephews and stuff, but that was the extent of my knowledge of dealing with a child. And I didn't have my parents here or anything like that. And I had a very sick wife who wasn't able to take care of a newborn. And a wife who mentally was struggling a little bit at the time as well too, because she, thought she was failing in her first few weeks as a mother, which that was really hard for us to watch. So it was a really sort of stressful situation, one that we, definitely talked about and actually seek some help about, and got us in a much better place. And then finally, 4 years later, I think we're ready to start trying.
All I can say is I had a traumatic first one. Second one, 45-minute labour, perfect.
Really?
Would have gone in and done it again.
Please,
done it again the next day.
That's what we want.
Yeah, I think they grace you. Like, my first child was terrible labour, but awesome child. Second child, awesome labour. He is.
Yeah.
Spirited.
Big shout out to all the television children out there.
Yeah.
Spirited
children. Yeah. Spirited children. We love you.
Heavens above though, from word go, Matilda, our daughter, was always healthy. And something my wife always said, I would be sick 100 times over.
Yes.
As long as my child is healthy. So she's always been healthy is and something I've written about in PakMag a few times, she is anaphylactic, which gave us a few fun little scares.
Yeah.
But aside from that, and that's nothing to do with how she was born, aside from that, really healthy little 4-year-old. Awesome. Yeah.
So tell me about your childhood then.
Very, I know this is a bit of a cop-out, but very normal, I guess. I grew up in a little regional town in New South Wales, Nabiac in New South Wales. Beautiful little town.
Where's that?
It's 3 hours north of Sydney, 90 minutes north of Newcastle.
Okay.
Really beautiful spot near Foster Tuncurry, which is really coastal and
I'm from
beachy.
Coffs Harbour.
There you go. You know Foster. So Nabiac's a blip on the radar.
Right. That's why I know where Foster is.
Yeah. Really beautiful spot. Very traditional upbringing, I guess. Mum, dad, younger brother. from a very early age, had a flair for the dramatic. So
I can't imagine.
Yeah, I know. Tell me about it.
So surprising.
Yeah, and so many people in media, I guess, have the same sort of background, you know, like grew up, I was the cliche drama kid, like was in every school play and musical and do you know what I mean? Like, you know, put his hand up to host the school assemblies and stuff like that. And a guy who I went to school with, who I'm still, you know, in contact with on Facebook, hello, Ben Archer, Ben said to me one time, he goes, I'm doing my work experience, my grade 9, 10 work experience at a radio station. And I was like, that sounds amazing, you know? And I kind of just tagged along and...
Which radio station?
Great Lakes FM, it was good. It's the first radio station I ever turned a mic on and spoke at. It was a community radio station, so all run by volunteers. Shout out to my parents who had the unenviable task of driving me like 40 minutes to the studios to do a shift. I didn't have a license or anything. I was like 15 years old. No idea whatsoever. No idea. But it was cool. It was one of those community radio stations where, you know, you get to pick the music and I had to do the news and make the commercials and you do everything yourself. So I was doing that from the age of about 15. So really, really unglamorous beginnings.
Wow.
Yeah. Not that it's glamorous now. It seems that way on the outside. I still do a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
Radio is a very self-sufficient industry where most of the people you hear on air have other skills and other things that they do around the radio station.
Yes.
But that was a really solid grounding for that.
I bet. So what did you want to be when you grew up?
A radio announcer.
And you did it.
Isn't that kind of sad? Yeah, like I kind of, well, it's not sad. It's
when
like
did you
I'm very
decide?
lucky.
How old were you?
Well, I was that kid who, like I said, I was the drama kid and all that sort of stuff. And I was really lucky because all my friends in high school were like, I don't know what I'm going to do. So I'll just go and do a Bachelor of Arts at uni or whatever. And after I did that work experience, which was early-ish, like I said, like grade 9 or 10, I was absolutely hooked. Mum and Dad had a big stereo, like a big 80s style stereo in the lounge room. And, you know, talking before where I grew up, about 90 minutes from Newcastle, I figured out that if I got some wire from Dad's shed and did this sort of rigging at the back of the CD player and put it into like coat hangers and all sorts of stuff, and I held it high enough, I could pick up all the Newcastle radio stations. So here I am at night times, you know, Ugly Phil O'Neill was the guy who was on air. Yeah.
Ugly Phil.
Through NXFM in Newcastle, which is now Hit 106.9 in Newcastle, one of the stations in the network I work for. And here I am at night time with cassettes in the CD player.
Recording. Holding
up this thing, trying to record Phil O'Neill so I could steal everything he did and then do it on my community radio show on the weekend.
That is hilarious.
Yeah.
And then you just have to rewind with a pencil.
Yes.
Cassette tape.
Oh, all that stuff. Yeah. And the thing too where you were trying to record the songs sometimes because you wanted new stuff for your Walkman, and then you'd hate it when radio announcers do what I do now, which is talk off the back of songs because you wanted as much song as you could get on the tape.
Yeah. Or they don't say what the song actually was, but
yes.
you really liked it. And you're like, can you just say what the song was?
Yeah. No Shazam back then.
No Shazam. No. We had it tough.
But was it? Yeah, you know what?
I got blisters sometimes rewinding tapes with my pencil.
Yeah, brutal.
Yeah.
We got by though, didn't we?
We did.
We lived to tell the story.
Yeah, because I play sax when I was younger, so I always wanted to learn the riffs of these different songs, and I just have to like record the song and then backwards, forwards.
I did sax for about 2 weeks.
Did you?
And I quit.
Really?
Oh yeah, I just went, no, music's not for me.
Yeah.
Went back to the radio station.
The air that I want to use is for talking.
Yeah, that's all right.
Not blowing.
Yeah, that's all right.
Probably good for you.
Yeah. No regrets.
So, what is something that most people don't know about you?
Something that most people don't know about me. I mentioned before that I get content and I talk about my daughter a bit on air. But one thing I don't think people probably know about me is how much of a family man I do consider myself. Like, it happened relatively quick. I met my wife. We got, we had Matilda. We got married very, very quickly. It all happened really quickly. And it's amazing how quickly my life changed. I went from, having a big Ford station wagon, this big car that didn't lock and was very unfamily friendly. And it wasn't it wasn't the kind of car that, you have for the family. And I sold that and I moved out of my bachelor pad unit and I bought a house, and my life changed more than it ever has in my 34 years on the planet. In 2 or 3 years, my life changed more than ever. And I think that's one thing that people probably don't realize is, I do leave work at lunchtime and then I'm in family mode, So yeah, that's one thing that, I probably don't portray enough of that on air, of how much that is part of my life.
And you said you're at the studios every morning at about 4 a.m.
4 o'clock, yeah.
Yeah. And then you work for a couple of hours.
Yeah.
In prep for your show. And
live
then,
at 6.
You go to bed with your daughter at 7:30?
Yes, yeah. That's one of the cool things about kids and breakfast radio. 7:30 at night rolls around. She'll jump into my wife and I and into our bed, and we'll read a story. She gets to pick a book off the shelf, read a story, and then it's so funny. Kiss her goodnight. My wife puts her to bed, kiss my wife goodnight, and I go to bed.
So both the kids are in bed?
So both the kids are in bed. That's what my wife
loves it.
Loves it.
I bet you she does.
She puts on all her trashy Kardashians and, that soap opera, Bold and the Beautiful. She loves all that stuff. That's her guilty pleasure. She's an intelligent woman, but that's her tune out time, and that happens when I go to bed, and I'm happy with that.
That's so funny. I wish I could put everyone to bed
at
7:30.
She loves it.
I bet.
But it's the same as, 'cause you know what it's like when you're busy with work and children and everything life throws your way. It's the same as when I get home. I get this cool period where I've got like an hour and a half, sometimes 2 hours, where I can do some of my celebrancy work or just sit out and veg out and watch Netflix or whatever. And I cherish that time too, because I work it's a very public job, and it's a very big office I work in. There's a lot of people there. So I'm surrounded by people and energy all morning. And of course, when, my daughter's home and my wife's home and the cat's carrying on and the house is full of energy in the afternoon. So I love that lull in the middle of my day.
Yep.
Just to have my lunch.
Do you have a little nap?
On my own. Yeah, most days.
Yep.
I try to limit it to 20 minutes on the couch.
Yep.
Because if I go to bed, you're ruined for the afternoon.
Yeah, and then you don't go to bed at 7:30. And then you're a bit grumpy.
Yeah, and we are actually shooting this about lunchtime now. So this couch, all this.
Yeah, you're looking like...
A cup of tea?
Yeah.
With Bree, this is my vibe.
Yeah.
Just without the Bree at home usually.
Yeah.
Michelle, my wife, if you're watching, Bree's usually not there.
Not at all. So you said you also collect ping pong machines before children.
I did.
BC.
Well, yeah. I didn't have nearly as many pinball machines as I wanted.
Pinball, not ping pong.
What did you say? Ping pong?
Ping pong.
Ping pong's great too. Love table tennis.
There's no ping pong machines there.
Yeah, no ping pong machines, no. I collected... and big shout out to Rod Cutter here, a very, very close friend of mine and a former host of the breakfast show I host now. One of my really good friends. He was a groomsman when I married my beautiful wife, Michelle. But he was working up in Townsville for a few months, and he was passionate about pinball machines. And they're like relics now.
Yeah.
Like only one pinball machine is released a year these days. Back in the day, in the 80s, 90s, you'd have 20 machines a year released. And you actually look at a pinball machine, and if you look at the artwork on the top of it and the mechanics that work it, they're beautiful bits of art. Weigh a ton. Oh my God. Getting them up and down the units of the stairs of my units at Railway Estate in Townsville, nightmare. But yeah, it was a really fun passion of mine for a while. Very expensive hobby to get into.
Yes.
Don't recommend it.
So now your new hobby, you at least get paid instead of paying out money.
Yeah, the marriage celebrancy. Yeah, and it's one of the rare hobbies that's a side hustle for me as well too. It's a hobby where a bit of money actually comes in, which you know what it's like in 2018. It's all that stuff helps when you got a mortgage and daycare and everything coming your way. So that's been a really big help to the family budget, which is awesome. But also at the same time a passion of mine, something I really love to do. It's a cool thing to do, to stand in front of two people on one of the most emotional and beautiful and, just fun-filled days of their lives. People, 90% of people, 99% of people look back on their marriages or their marriage day with really fond memories. So to stand in the middle of that, literally be closer than anyone else, it's a really cool thing to experience.
See, I'm also a wedding singer and I cry at every single wedding. I don't even know these people. Do you cry?
Well, that's so funny you mentioned that because, Bree, when I was, studying to become a celebrant, I was worried that was going to be a thing because I've been to weddings. I've even been to weddings of like my wife's high school friends.
Yeah.
And I'm a sucker for men who cry.
Yeah.
For some reason, when men cry, I go, oh my God.
You join in.
Yeah, it's weird. I don't know
I'm
why.
going to join you.
Yeah, I don't know why it's like that. And I cried on my own wedding day. And yeah, like I was mentioning, I'll go to my wife's friends' weddings and they'll tear up and I'll tear up. And I was like, I don't know if I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
There's something different.
When you're there.
Yeah, it's like...
The performer in you comes out.
I guess it is, yeah. People often say to me, have you ever sworn on the radio? And the answer is no, because you just kind of...
You get into that.
You're aware, yeah. And don't get me wrong, I'm 100% me on the radio, but I'm aware that people are hearing me. And I guess it's the same when you're marrying people. Like, you're aware.
You can't turn into a big crybaby.
You can't turn into you're right. That performer in you almost switches on. Like, I've got a job here to do.
It switches on for me too, but thankfully I'm off into the corner. But then I can feel the whole room getting emotional. So then, because I'm singing a love song as well, it's really hard as the singer.
Yeah.
So, but I can only imagine you're saying all these beautiful words that sometimes.
Yeah, and sometimes what's hardest, and I think one of the most beautiful things in a marriage ceremony is when a bride and groom will do their own vows to each other. There's some of the most
and you haven't heard them before.
moments. Yeah, that's really cool. I love that. That's the bits where I maybe come close, because that's the bits where they tear up as well. But Celebrancy 101 always have a pocket full of tissues.
Right.
It's a great look. When they start crying, if you can whip out a tissue.
Aww.
Yeah, it's professional. Looks good.
And one for yourself.
I charge by the tissue, by the way. Yeah.
So what's been one of your greatest professional achievements then?
Becoming the number one breakfast show in Townsville, 3 consecutive survey rises in Townsville. So surveys are the radio ratings, what measures who's listening, how many people are listening. We're coming up on our fourth survey now, but survey's been back for 3 years, and the Hit 103.1 breakfast time slot, 6 till 9 Monday to Friday, has had 3 consecutive rises in 3 years, which
that's great. Congratulations.
That's something that I'm really super proud of. Being the number one breakfast show for a time there was, a dream come true in a market as competitive and as big as Townsville is. So I think that is definitely a career highlight.
What about personal highlight?
My family. They're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful. The 2 women in my life, my wife and my daughter, have changed my life in immeasurable ways. You can't even. My life now is my life before family. I can't even compare it to my life now. My life is so much better and so much richer in so many ways. Yeah, I just love my girls so much.
So you've got a really high profile job.
Yeah.
You share your life on air all the time. And obviously thousands of people are listening to you and they feel like they know you and they come up to the street all the time. You've got this persona that you've got it all together and that you're really confident.
Yeah. And you know what? It's just that. And like so many radio people, it is, maybe that is just the persona. Like, I absolutely don't feel that way, if that makes sense. I'm not the kind of broadcaster that gets off air each day and goes, because they are out there, you nailed that. Nailed another one, Cliff. Another notch on the belt. Another great show that you kicked out of the park. That's not me at all. I'm full of a lot of doubt. After most shows, to be honest, I'm the kind of guy that gets off air and instead of focusing on the great points of a show and the things that we really did well, I'll get off and I'll go, oh man, great show. And your phone has got stacks of calls and you gave $1,000 to a listener and it's all great. But man, that break at 7:50, that was 30 seconds too long. What are you doing? And I think that's a tough thing to live with.
Yeah.
That's a tough, but I also, in a way, wouldn't have it any other way because I think that kind of drives me to do better.
Well, I think most people, they've got jobs, but there's no one analysing their every move because you have you've got a content director that analyses after every show. You have weekly meetings and
listeners who analyse after every break.
Absolutely.
In their own mind.
Yes.
And we live in an era now where you are not sheltered from any of that. With social media and stuff, and we all know that people will say things on a keyboard that they will never say to your face.
Yes.
And I this is a big one for most people in radio, and I've been personally, very hit by that. People will say things online that they just will not say to your face. So if you do the slightest make the slightest mistake on air, and let's be honest, we all have bad days.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of things I could say this week that I said on air and I went, you didn't do that quite right, and someone could take that the wrong way.
Yeah.
The sucky thing is when I have a bad day, everyone knows about it. And now in 2018, everyone has a platform to go, I can't believe he said that. What was he thinking, But radio is live.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And sometimes we all do it. We all get out of a conversation and we'll go, man, that wire between the brain and the mouth should have kicked in a bit stronger there.
Well, we've all had conversations. We go, I don't know whether I said that right, or, I wonder if they're worried about how I said that, if they've taken it out of context. But you've got thousands of people listening to you.
Yeah, it's daunting. But kind of the thrill of the job as well too. The flashing of that on-air light. I still, and I've been making radio since I was 14
So
years
half
old,
of your
maybe.
life.
Well, yeah, more than half my life now. Yeah, about half my life. And I still, when that on-air light comes on, every single time I get an adrenaline rush.
Yep.
It's very cool. It's a very cool feeling.
So, you're talking about, the trolls and things like that online. Tell me how your personal experience with that.
Look, I'm very lucky. Townsville is a very, very good radio market for that. I was expecting when I first started here about 8 years ago to be absolutely savage because people can be quite... people grow to love their breakfast show. So when you're a replacement breakfast show or a replacement host of an existing show, it can be a really, really tough transition. And like I was saying, people now have that outlet to voice their, concerns or outrage or just be jerks, really. They have that there. There's been stuff said about me. There's been stuff, and I can take that. I can really take that. The stuff that's been leveled at my family before, I can't take that. They're innocent bystanders. My wife is a woman who just fell in love with a radio guy. Do you know what I mean? She didn't give a damn that I was on the radio when we first met. She wasn't a listener, nothing like that, And my daughter particularly, that's a child, that to me, that stuff is off the table. You know what I mean? And don't get me wrong, there's only been 1 or 2 posts ever that have involved them. But that's the one that I lose sleep over.
And
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like I said, as a whole, and I honestly mean this, 99% of feedback that comes through our radio station is positive.
Yeah, which is great.
Yeah. But isn't it funny you focus on that 1%?
1%. Yeah, and I always say to people, it's like circles. You got to only be impacted by the most important people, and the rest of it's just when you put yourself out in the limelight, you're going to have those people.
And I think you have to be level-headed too about it. Like, I know that the people who listen to our show or interact on our social channels and stuff that praise us and heap praise us and say how wonderful we are, you have to take a step down from that. And it's the same as the people that despise what we do and that tear you down. You're never as good as the people who love you think you are, and you're never as bad as the people who hate you think you are. You're somewhere in the middle there,
Yeah, and in the end, I think it's what you think about yourself that matters most.
Yeah, and it's
the own voices in our own heads that determine how we feel about things.
And the amazing thing that I have now in my family is this amazing, and I don't want to describe them as a distraction, but they are. I can leave work now and leave work. It's really cool. My life never used to be like that before my wife and children and stuff. I mean, radio is what brought me thousands of kilometres up the eastern seaboard to Townsville, And that said, it's 100% my home now. I love this place and I don't see myself, living anywhere else anytime soon. That's for damn sure. But yeah, radio is what brought me here. So radio was my whole life. Only, going back 5, 6, 7 years ago, it consumed everything, and I worked pretty much 7 days a week. And when I wasn't working at the radio station, I was hanging out with people who worked at the radio station, So that's what family has offered me, is an amazing kind of this other cool thing that's happening that's an even bigger part of my life than radio now, So, yeah.
So if you could have dinner with 3 people, whether past or present, who would they be and why? Okay,
number 1, straight away, and only because I've sort of thought about this before, I don't know about 2 and 3, but number 1, I would absolutely say Howard Stern, who to me is the greatest broadcaster. He's an absolute genius that has ever lived. His interview skills and the way he conducts himself on the air, he's just an absolute broadcasting legend. And I'm a nerd for radio too. Getting into it so young and, being a passion or whatever. Probably Kyle Sandilands as well. Beyond all the headlines and the hype, that man is a phenomenal broadcaster. And it upsets me that the controversy that surrounds him overshadows his absolute raw talent. And people who say he's talentless, he's just a headliner, have no idea how the craft of radio actually works. Because you sit back and you watch you do watch now on how social media works.
He started up in North Queensland too.
Yes, he did, in Townsville, on the radio station I work at, which is really cool. And it's not something that Kyle talks about often, but he is a radio tragic as well. He knows, he'd know that I'm doing breakfast here. He knows who's doing all the regional shows, and he keeps across all that because he's done all that himself.
Yeah.
So that's another brain I'd like to pick. And then I should probably pick a non-radio one, hey? Maybe, you know what? My grandfather passed away recently this year, and I never got a real send-off for Rob. Val is his wife, my grandma, who's still with us. Maybe Rob and my grandfather, just to have one last beer with Pop, you know?
Aww.
Yeah, that'd be a good one.
So what's the best piece of advice that you've ever been given them?
Okay, this is a tough one. I don't know if it's advice, but it's something that I've been living my life by recently, and it's a program that I've gotten involved with, big shout out to the legends at the North Queensland Toyota Cowboys who are spreading this program across schools in Townsville, but it's called the Resilience Project, and it's pretty much a program that practices gratitude, empathy, and mindfulness. 3 amazing things that if you incorporate into your everyday life, it will dramatically increase your mental health. And they're trying to breed these habits into children at a young age: gratitude, empathy, mindfulness, and it's in the hope of decreasing the likelihood of young Australians suffering from mental health issues, which is a really, really big issue in Australia, massive issue in North Queensland.
Yes.
And something that I'm passionate about, and I think mindful about too, being the father of a young girl. It's something I think that's in the back of most parents' minds. So it's a program that I've been practicing. I've sort of been getting my wife into it and my daughter into it as well too. That you can Google it, the Resilience Project. It's an amazing program. Like I say, not necessarily a piece of advice, but something that I've been living my life by that's made it better, you know?
Yeah. Love it.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's a really, really cool. You need to work on that stuff, don't you?
Absolutely.
But we don't.
No.
We so neglect it, don't we? We all do.
Yep.
So, So maybe it's my advice.
Yes.
Do something like that. Look after
Listen
your own
to
mental
Cliffo.
health. Yeah,
Yes.
listen to Cliffo. Because, and I've even been... I've been very lucky that my life hasn't been drastically impacted by mental health. But man, I've had sleepless nights because of work things and crazy anxiety about certain things that have happened in my life, professionally and personally before. And
obviously with your wife, with her.
Yeah, and my wife with, what she went through, it's some full-on stuff. And I don't think we stop down enough and ask questions like, are you okay? Are you okay day is great, but it's once a year, It's the kind of thing we need to do almost on a weekly basis,
Daily
even. So
are you okay?
I am okay. I'm great.
Good.
Had a cup of tea, great conversation. I'm loving life right now.
Well, thank you so much for having a cup of tea with me today.
Thank you so much.
It's really nice to get to know you better and hear about how you started and all the things that you're passionate about.
I know. I'm just fabulous, aren't I?
You are.
I cut that bit out. I don't mean that. That was purely for comedic purposes.
If you would like to see more of our episodes, then make sure to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on a new episode of A Cup of Tea with me, and I'll see you next time.